Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "I broke my wrist and my husband won't help me out with driving. A couple of days ago, I was doing yard work, tripped, fell, and broke my wrist. It's in a cast and will be for at least 4 weeks. I work full-time in person about 30 minutes away from home. I took the last 2 days off from work, but I need to go back on Monday. I can't drive my car because it is a stick shift and the wrist I broke is on the arm I use to shift. I can't grab the shifter to change gears, so I can't drive it. My husband drives an automatic, and while it wouldn't be ideal, I could drive his car. I asked him if he would mind switching cars with me until I am able to shift gears again. He said no because he doesn't like driving my car. I taught him how, and he's used it before, he just doesn't like it. So I asked if he would drive me to and from work at least a few times per week. He also said no because he doesn't want to wake up early. He works 3 shifts per week in the evenings. I would be home with his car before he had to leave for work. He would also have time to drive me home from work without being late. I am also the breadwinner and we need the money I make from working. He told me I should just use Uber, but it would be at least $60 per day and I can't afford that. I feel unsupported. I get that the situation sucks, but a couple of years ago, when his car wasn't working, I let him use my car. He worked more back then, 5 days per week, so I let him use it to go to work and also to go out with friends and stuff. I feel I am not being reciprocated. He doesn't owe me for that, but he also isn't willing to help me out with this, and the inconvenience of letting me use his car is much less for him because he'd be sleeping when I was using it. Where do I go from here? Am I asking or expecting too much? Update. I got a lot of advice on my last post, some helpful, some not. A lot of people slammed him for not working more. I want to clear that up. He was working the same amount of hours as I was, sometimes more. But his hours got cut at work. He's been looking for a new job or a second one, but hasn't had much luck. I know he has been looking and putting in effort. That's not an issue, but I sat down with him and said that we really need to talk about this because I had to go to work today. I told him I get that he is having a hard time with his hours being cut and trying to navigate the job market, but I have a good job and I need to get there. I can't afford to Uber a car while I heal. We need to find a solution. He kept talking in circles with the same reasons I mentioned in the last post. I don't know exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, "That is not good enough for me. I don't accept those reasons and I don't think they're true. What is the actual reason? We are married and partners. Why am I left hanging like this?" He finally told me the truth. Since his hours got cut, he hasn't been maintaining his car. He had savings and maintained his car when he worked more, but when his hours got cut, he started using his savings to pay his part of the bills. When it ran low, he finally let me readjust our spending. I pushed for it from the start, but he refused. When his savings ran low, his car started having problems and he couldn't afford to fix it. He needs new tires, new brakes, and the air conditioning stopped working. He is also well overdue for an oil change. He used to keep up with this stuff, but hasn't because he is low on money. He was ashamed and didn't want me to use his car or ride in it because he didn't want me to know how bad it was. He was embarrassed, so he never brought it up. He has been driving an unsafe car and didn't want me to drive it. After a very long talk, we came to a solution. I will buy him used tires. They need to be done, but can wait a week as we look and get this set up. Yesterday, we replaced the brake pads and did an oil change. I couldn't physically help, but I read him steps and looked at things when he wasn't sure. His dad also helped over FaceTime. Between our brains, we figured it out. We decided not to mess with the air conditioning because that's a comfort thing and not necessary, especially during this time of year. So in all, he was having a private struggle I wasn't aware of. I usually don't go in his car, so I never noticed. This morning, he drove me to and from work. Either he will drive me or I will drive myself with his permission. It depends on the day. I knew he was struggling with the lack of income and I have been pushing and pushing for him to let me do more, but he held out due to pride and his car suffered. Honestly, I think I might do the same thing. I still feel a bit betrayed and the trust has eroded a bit, but at the same time, I also feel like I got closer to him. It's a weird feeling I can't fully explain, but in the end, I can get to work with his help. The fluffiest Redditor said, I walked away from my marriage because my wife did the same thing this guy did, but multiple times. She hid from me issues that initially only affected her, never sought help from anyone, never told anyone about them, and then cried, woe is me when they blew up and affected me as well. A marriage is a partnership, and to paraphrase Simon Sinek talking about friendship, how dare that whiny boy block his partner from helping? To this Inky and the pen said, I had a boyfriend about 7 or 8 years ago who got fired and didn't tell me. He'd leave the house dressed for work, then go to his dad's house and play video games. Then he'd come back and give me a hard time for not cleaning up the flat when I was usually out working in a cafe all day. He kept saying that I didn't need to work because his wages were so good, so I took his word for it. One day when a manager was being really horrible to me, I quit on the spot. It was one of those situations where there was no other option. I had to walk away from that job. I went back and told my ex that I quit, and that's when he decided to tell me that he had been fired months before. I lost all trust in him after he lied to me for so long, and thankfully the relationship ended. Dubious people pleaser said that still doesn't explain why he couldn't wake up early to drive her in her car. To this own illustrator said, I think I remember her car being a manual and that's part of the reason he didn't want to do it. I don't particularly enjoy driving them either, but I would figure it out and deal with it to help my partner. This next post was made in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named No Pool. The post is titled, My 15-year-old kid got his GF pregnant on purpose. I'm a 30-year-old woman with a 15-year-old son, let's call him Ollie, and other children aged 2, 6, 9, and 11. As you can tell by my age, I was a teen parent. I was lucky, we married at 18, are still married, have a healthy relationship, worked our way out of a very dire situation, and we are comfortable and stable in all ways. This information is relevant. Ollie has been friends with a girl, let's call her Bree, since he was 7 years old. Their family used to live in the same city as us, and they went to the same school and shared the same friendship group. We know her parents and are long-distance friends ourselves. Bree's family moved to a very small town 3 states away due to rental affordability. We have all talked about the rising costs of everyday life. The cost of living in the city has risen, forcing many locals out. They moved because of that and for better job opportunities 18 months ago. Since then, Ollie has been begging us to follow, giving us a sales pitch on cheaper housing, better paying jobs, the whole works. We have said no because, well, no. But even if we wanted to, our other children are in school, sports, and have friends here. Selling and buying another house, finding work outside of our skill set, or having to learn new skills, any normal adult would understand this. He does not. Fast forward to Christmas, Bree's family came back to our city for a holiday and the kids met up multiple times. It was my understanding that they were always with the other kids, but obviously not, since Bree is pregnant and I am certain it was on purpose. He has access to condoms. He has had sex education from me, my husband, and school. He knows damn well how babies are made and how not to have one. Ollie now wants me to move to be with her and the baby, and I said no. I don't feel I need a reason, but he asked. You're 15, we don't have any proof it's your child yet. I'm not moving us away from our lives, and you aren't going alone until you're 18. We will do a DNA test then, we will look at parenting plans, and I topped it off with a too bad, too sad. You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it. He took that back to Bree, and now all communication between me and her parents has been cut. I'm a terrible person. My comments about the DNA test are disgusting, and it's fueling my son's hate for me. He says I am keeping him from the love of his life and future baby, using my own successful relationship as proof it will work out. I actually don't even know if I am right or not. I'm just really upset and feel like the life I worked really hard for has been destroyed. Edit. To answer some questions, she is due in September around the 22nd. So no, there is no option for abortion. I don't think that or adoption ever was. Ollie admitted it was on purpose last night. Apparently, it was Bree's idea first as a joke that turned into a plan together. Bree's parents will only pass messages through my son, and I have heard this for myself. I stood outside the door and listened to them tell him, tell your mother because I know I will just go off on her about that bullshit still. They are talking badly about me with my kid. They are appalled I would think that way of Bree when I have known her for more than half her life and do not wish to talk to me. I will not allow him to move out there alone. There are some past issues, such as Bree breaking up with him twice in the last 18 months because she found someone that she liked more in her new town. And when it ended, she came back to Ollie. Bree is a nice girl, but her behavior is toxic and has been since childhood. Her mother and stepfather are nice, but the relationship is unstable. The house is chaotic. He would be leaving stability for chaos and no structure. I want a DNA test. I will not budge on that. I am close to cutting his contact totally at this point because they are only empowering him and reinforcing his behavior towards me and his father. His father is a man of few words, which is unhelpful. So far, he's backed everything I have said and only really chosen to say, "You have the intelligence of a pear." Update. Things have gone even further south. At this point, my husband and I have been blocked on all social media and our numbers are blocked, but communication with Ollie has continued. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to, but before using that, I asked him to video chat with Bree while I was there. I wanted to ask Bree to please get her parents so I could talk to them about this and tell her that if they continue to refuse, I would block all contact with Ollie and communication until this is resolved. I told Ollie this before the call. At first, he flipped out about it, but it was this or I cut communication completely. I do think he understood that it is not okay for her parents to speak to me through minors, and he said himself he would like us to talk to each other. Bree joined the call and hung up when she saw I was there. Ollie called back a few times, but she didn't answer. She asked via text why I wanted to talk to her, and Ollie told her that I wanted to speak to her mother. He said if we didn't resolve the communication issue, all contact would be ended until her parents made contact with us, and we made a plan for the next few months and birth arrangements. He said that if the baby is his, we will travel there for the birth and the first few weeks after. He told her that I personally think it probably is his baby, but I want to be sure and make sure everything is done right from the start. Well, Bree blocked him with a reply, and he is totally heartbroken. Not eating, sitting in his room all day and night, not mad at me surprisingly. I feel very sorry for him and for us. It's sad about it all, and I think he is regretful. He even asked me if there was a way to undo it for himself. I haven't talked about signing over rights because I think he's just upset right now. A mutual friend of Bree and Ollie's here in our hometown showed him a few posts she has made in the last 24 hours. Things like, "It's you and me against the world, baby girl," and memes about deadbeat dads. She also announced a pregnancy, which she hadn't done yet, and the post had some single mother facts and quotes. Ollie's friends knew about the situation, and a few were under the impression he had dumped her and the baby, going by the posts. But when he explained what had happened, they all rallied for him in the comments. Now she's blocked them and we can't see what she has posted. This is just a nightmare. I have had a plan personally, not set, but something I wanted to talk to her parents about, but I don't even want to waste my time at this point. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email with the plan. Basically, Bree does a DNA blood test. We will pay the full $1,500 for it. If it is his baby, we can book flights and plan to be there for the first month. I'll stay too with Ollie, maybe even the whole family. Then we can also work on a parenting plan and get into mediation for a judge to sign off on it. Ollie's father and I split for the first 7 months of his life, so we have done this before and know the process. But at this point, I think I will just wait for things to settle before sending an email. Update 2. Ollie's friend was able to see her Instagram through an old account. They found the pregnancy announcement post, and if you scrolled across it, it showed a digital copy of the scan Bree sent us as a 16-week scan. Apparently, the first scan she had at the OB. That is dated April 4th and clearly says GA 19 plus 3 weeks, making an August due date, I believe, or very early September. This would not line up with the due date given to us, but does line up with when her parents told me she was pregnant in mid-April. They told us, "We've had the pregnancy confirmed," and sent a photo of the printed picture, which doesn't have the date on it. I actually think it may have been cut off the top. I haven't told Ollie this yet because I want to be sure. I am very concerned about his mental health at the moment and am taking that into consideration. But unless she gave the wrong period dates and the baby measured only 16 weeks, then it's not possible for it to be our son's. Also, from what we know, her due date is September 22nd. She was here from December 20th to January 7th and saw Ollie on December 21st and 22nd and January 4th and 5th. Never overnight. I asked Ollie when this happened, and he said January 4th was the only time, which makes more sense as they were in public gatherings otherwise. I have had 5 kids, and I know the dates are too close to figure it out that way. Ollie also said that the joke Bree made was to just see if it happens, the pregnancy, because then it's obviously meant to be and he would be able to move. To me, it sounds like she had the plan a lot longer, but I may be biased here. Il Palazzo said, "This is absolutely ridiculous. I would tell them that either they communicate with me like adults or they handle their pregnant teenage daughter by themselves. I will not discuss such a serious matter by playing telephone with a 15-year-old. To this, Lizzie Izzy said, "Yeah, that's when I was thinking it's lawyer time. Nothing insane, just basically making it clear that this will be our line of communication, not 2 teenagers. Maleficent Radio said Ollie will be lucky if he's not the father, not so much for the baby or Bree and whoever the father is. At first I thought the reaction to the paternity test was because they were insulted, but now I'm suspicious they're hiding something. Regardless, OP needs to get a lawyer and seek advice on how to proceed. Eventually, paternity will need to be confirmed and the courts involved. Hopefully, Ollie will come around by then. I'm surprised that a kid with sex education classes and knowledge, not to mention a parent who was a teen mom, would be so foolish, but it happens. Hopefully, all their communication until now has been well documented and is presentable to court." This final post was made by a user named Realistic Flower in the Waiting to Wed subreddit. The post is titled "Worried Over Nothing. Longtime lurker, first time poster. I've been reading so many stories here. At first, it was so comforting and validating to hear stories similar to what I went through with my ex. 5 years of empty words and toxic manipulation until I finally had enough and left. You all have helped me value myself more and communicate my expectations more clearly with my current partner. Lately, I've also been getting anxious. Every day, multiple women are posting from 2, 5, 8, 10 plus year-long relationships. Every day, I read stories of wishy-washy men who say nice things but slowly become less and less invested until the women can't take it anymore and leave. I relate so strongly with every story as I remember the feeling of love turning to disappointment and every ounce of my fighting spirit being sucked out of me conversation by conversation until I was left with no self-respect. I never want to go back. I'm scared it will happen again, especially seeing how common these stories are here. I'm losing confidence in men, and when I read these posts, I get paranoid that my current partner will eventually change into a wishy-washy man. He honors me in so many ways, never complains, takes feedback well, and actually works on himself and improves. We constantly are being cute and sweet with one another even after 2 years. We even have an effective communication strategy for disagreements where we often feel closer afterwards. I could write a whole book about how incredible a person he is and how much he has helped me heal from my past. And yet, I'm still anxious, especially after reading posts here. I'm looking for reassurance that I found one of the good ones and that I can let go of these anxious thoughts that keep bugging me. I think it's just past trauma making me anxious, but I would love some help from this community to see more clearly. Also, shout out to all the strong, wise, and brave women here who have freed themselves from a negative situation. Each of you is inspiring, and I thank you all for sharing your stories. Edit, thank you all for so many responses. I really appreciate all the reassurance you have given me. I think it's easy to get worried due to the constant exposure to these stories, so per multiple people's recommendations, I will probably take a break from this sub for a while. You all are wonderful, strong, and supportive women. Many have asked if I have talked to my current partner about marriage. Yes, we have had many discussions. I told him back in the fall I expect him to propose to me by the end of summer 2025. I explained that I didn't want to waste my time if he wasn't confident enough to commit by the 3rd-year mark. He agreed and is currently planning a trip to ask my parents for their blessing. We have discussed many aspects of the proposal and ring, though most of those discussions have been started by me. He has been engaged and excited. I'm hopeful but also nervous. He is nervous because I am his first for almost everything, but one conversation sticks out to me. I asked him once, "Do you worry that you don't have enough experience to know if I'm the one?" Because that is what my ex told me, but he said, "I am happy with you now, so why would I think about if I would be happy with someone else?" This gives me a lot of hope. Also, we are in our late 20s. I forgot to mention that. Also, for those who mentioned therapy, yes, I am currently talking with someone weekly. It helps, and I also wanted to understand from your collective wisdom as well. Update. I followed everyone's advice and muted the sub for a while and continued working with my therapist. Not having all the negativity in my Reddit feed really helped me calm down more. I still had anxiety though because my boyfriend wasn't communicating with me. The next day, I brought up how his lack of communication was just making me anxious and that I want to be included in his thought process so I'm not blindly waiting for some surprise that may or may not happen. He agreed and shared his plan with me. His plan, he wanted to talk with his family and best friends first to reassure himself that this was a healthy next step for us. This made sense as I've already talked with my family and friends about it, but he hasn't had that opportunity yet. He also said that sometime after he talked, he would tell me when he was ready and we could make a plan together. I really appreciated being included in his plans. I thanked him for including me and said he could take his time as long as he kept me updated on his progress. Well, after that conversation, I didn't expect anything for months, to be honest. But yesterday, he went to dinner with his parents and I stayed home because I had therapy. When he came back, he was so smiley and cute. He told me how he talked to his parents, how much they like me, and how confident he felt about moving forward. He still wants to talk to his best friend. I know his friend is a great guy, so I'm not worried. Basically, no official proposal yet, but we are both very sure it will happen soon. I'm over the moon with relief, love, and excitement. It feels like we are finally on the same page. Thank you to everyone who reassured me and told me to take a break. Maybe I'll do another small update in a few months when the proposal happens. Edit. Thank you for all your wonderful well wishes. I'm amazed by the response. I will be sure to update everyone in a few months. Final update. He took all the steps he should. He talked to my family and got their blessing. He talked to our friends and planned a surprise. He ordered the ring I loved. I felt discouraged and expressed that I didn't know if he was going to propose. He reassured me and gave me a hint that it would happen soon. He planned a date in the park where I wore a pretty sundress, and he even dressed up a bit too. He pulled out a ring and gave the most wonderful speech while crying. All our friends came out from behind a bush, congratulated us, and took pictures. I cried a lot. Now he is beaming and excited that everything is out in the open and says I am even more beautiful than before. We plan to wed early next year. I'm so happy. I am on cloud 9. I'm so lucky to have found someone so beautiful and amazing who loves me so much. This will be my last post. Thank you all for your encouragement. Blue Moon said, "This girl needs to get out of that subreddit and maybe find a new therapist." Sugar Can Kiss My Ass said, "A whole echo chamber of people spouting negativity was bad for her mental health. Crazy." Miss Shrimp Toast said, "I truly hope OP is happy, but she rubs me the wrong way. Her partner never complains. She expects him to get her parents' blessing, and he's doing all the right things. She just strikes me as someone who has a specific vision of what a man should be, what a proposal should be, when a woman should be married, etc., as though she's not listening to her own instincts, but instead just going through the motions as society dictates." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.